sorry. Which verb would we identify as problematic? Had. Think about it for a moment. You have a car made. A little bit strange. We know that it doesn't seem strange on one level because we speak in this way. However, on another level, specifically grammar, it's a little bit awkward. Melissa? What's a more specific and active word than made? Because made, I'm not sure. Altered, modified, though, would be more common for cars. Is that where you're going, Tim? Okay, so usually we talk about modifications. Remember, choose your verb based upon the context. With cars, we don't talk about altering, we talk about modifying. If we were to change the course of a river, we talk about altering its course, not about modifying its course. So, you know, different verbs, different contexts. What else do we talk about when we talk about cars? Customizing. I like that. What else? If you are an engineer working on inventing new cars, what are you doing? Creating, engineering, although engineering probably wouldn't work here. I was thinking of designing. Which of those do you think speaks most to the intent of the sentence and what these people are doing? Customizing or modifying? Designing seems like from the ground floor up, like you built the car all the way up, but customizing or modifying seems like we're talking about receiving a car and making changes to it. Sydney, which one do you want, modified or customized? Modified. Bissinger recalls how fans modified their cars so that every time they hit their brake pedal, their back window would light up mojo. There you go. Seem okay? Sydney, approval? Good. Mitch, question? Or do you have another example? Chris, example? Okay, we'll swing around. Chris with next example, and then Mitch. Anybody else up on the list? April? Yes. Yes. Ineffective word choice is definitely an issue. Remember, get literally means to obtain or to take. So to obtain back at him or to take back at him by shaking the tree branch doesn't really seem to make all that much sense. You know what we're talking about with Gene here, of course. We're talking about Gene trying to achieve some sort of revenge. Although I wouldn't want to say achieve revenge. It sounds just a little bit too stilted. I'm sorry? Gene attempted, but tried is okay. We're not looking at tried. We're looking at get. So I don't think we need to focus on tried. Melissa? Well, then you would just say Gene sought revenge. However, I think, once again, and that would be specific, Gene sought revenge by shaking the tree branch. It sounds a little bit too poetic, a little bit too elevated. It doesn't sound comfortable when I say it. Tim? Gene reacted? Okay, depends upon the context, the sentence before it. It could work very well. Yes? But then we do to get revenge. I'll tell you what, Chris, can you give me the sentence before this, please? Okay, take a moment. Zoe? Ooh, nice. I'm thinking that's probably the best one. Gene shook the tree branch in retaliation. Now remember what I've said about these sentences. Quite often you can fix them by simply looking at a verb that's already present, using it as a main verb to replace the weak verb. And Mitch was trying that by focusing on tried, but tried seems to work okay. So Zoe focused on shake, decided to make that the main verb. Gene shook And then the prepositional phrase in retaliation or in revenge might work. Chris, did you have the sentence before?
When Gene and Finney were in the tree together, Gene still thought that Finney was trying to live his grade.
Okay. When Gene and Finney were in the tree together, Gene still thought that Finney was trying to hurt his grades?
Yeah.
Okay. Gene shook the tree branch in retaliation. Or even in response would work as well. But I like the retaliation response, saying you did this, I do this. Your previous sentence is an action. This is a reaction. So that works. Good. Keep passing it on. Mitch? Yes? Unclear pronoun reference. What word is it circling? Her. Then I don't know who the her is.
Right.
You probably have multiple women in there, and I'm not sure which one it's referring to. I noticed. As of last night, unfortunately. We're done? We'll talk about it. Finney has a way to deal with problems that is quite different from the average teenager's approach to the same problem. 2 ineffective verb choices. What are they? Has and is. Thank you. That's it. Same strategy. Deal is a good verb. You could use copes, faces, solves, addresses. Any of those work. Deal is not bad. Finney deals with problems differently from the average teenager. That works. Next example. No more? Sydney, you got another one. Good.
Well,
Or just question?
for my use of there,
Yes.
and this also is a pronoun center, but it says, with this statement, it makes the reader feel as if the school's issues are hopeless and there is nothing anyone can do.
And no one can do anything. Yep. Any more verb choice issues that you want to deal with? Yeah, Abby, go ahead. Take the keyboard from Mitch and to go ahead. And Abby, I saw an ad yesterday for Sharktopus. Sharktopus. Yes, Dino Shark.
I recorded that one too.
Awesome.
I get a lot.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, why do people usually have these on? Those are just the ones I've recorded, but I mean.
Thank God for the Sci-Fi Channel.
I don't like that.
Okay. The reader gets inside her head and only knows what she is thinking and seeing. Yes, gets is the problem. I want a number of different options for this because I'm seeing a number of different options. The reader sees the situation in what, Ryan? From her point of view. So what Ryan's doing is that third option, which is to really rewrite the sentence. The reader sees situations from her point of view, something like that. There's a good option. Mitch. The reader's viewpoint from inside her head lets them know what she is thinking and seeing. That works. That works. The reader looks inside her head. That makes me feel like I'm actually looking inside her head. Whereas, no, hold on. What's happening is I'm not looking inside her head. I'm inhabiting her head. I'm inhabiting her experience and her identity, so I think that's a little bit different. The reader enters her head and only knows what she is thinking and seeing. Yes? The reader experiences only what she is thinking and seeing. So far, I think that one works best. I don't often like the word experience because I think that students use it where they do not need to. However, in this case, I am talking about experience. I'm talking about being in situations and perceiving what that person perceives. I'm talking about experience. So the reader experiences only what she is thinking and seeing is probably the best repair. More? All right, Morgan and then Chris. Yes? Let me let Morgan finish and then. All right, big question. A lot of students ask me this question that Melissa just asked. Okay, Mr. Clarkson, I can change these now that I see them. I understand the revision strategies. I can look at these. I can knock them back one after the other. But how do I find them? Well, I kind of gave this speech in 7th period tomorrow. The method I'm about to tell you is going to sound cumbersome. Like it's going to take a lot of time and effort with each draft. And at first it will. But the more you practice it, the faster it becomes. This is what happened with me. I didn't start grading papers being able to go through lightning fast and find everything. It was really slow at first. It took years. So here's what you do. I want to proof verb choice issues. First, I look at the data. I use something like this, the Muggs revision checklist, and I look at my past work. And I look at all the VCs that are marked, and I make a list of what? The words that have been marked. Let's say I make that list. Let's say even I really look at the ones that are super important. In other words, I've made those errors most. I make myself a little list. I have that list next to me when I'm proofing a draft. And then what do? Control F and I find every single one of them. Now you might think, wow, 7 words, Control F on each one. The Control F should take all of to look through the entire paper, even a multi-page paper, should take you all of 10 to 30 seconds. Yeah, if you spend 5 minutes trying to find the find function, okay, Paul's laughing. But the first time you find it, might take a little bit of time. The next time, maybe you master the hotkey, Control F, this speeds up. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to do a Control F. I'll enter each one. It'll pull up is, I highlight it. It'll pull up is, I highlight it. It'll pull up is, I highlight it. It'll pull up was, I highlight it. Maybe after I'm done, I have a draft on my computer with 5 highlighted words. And then I go through one at a time and I revise. That'll take some time. In this class, your grade is significantly lower if you don't take that time. At this point, with major assignments, if you make plenty of Muggs errors and everything else is perfect, you're really not earning any higher than a low B. You'd probably earn about a 16 out of 20. So it might be worth it to take this time. And the more you do it, the faster it becomes and the less you start to write with these words. So try this. It's the best I can give you right now. And work and effort, and eventually these words drop from your vocabulary. One note. These are sometimes helping verbs. Don't revise them if it's a helping verb. If I say, I am swimming, what's my verb? Swimming. I don't need to revise it. If I say, I have read, read's your verb. There's no need to revise it. So chances are pretty good that you'll only find about 5 of these when you do the Control F, if that. Questions about that? Mitch? Yes. Are inside a word. Yeah, which is why you've got to do find next pretty quickly. And find next is usually highlighted, which means you press your return key or your enter key on your keyboard and you can just scroll through them really quickly. You become faster at these things. And you should. Later, however, she has a change of heart. What do we talk about with changes of heart? It's a poetic way of saying changing your opinion or attitude. What's the context, Morgan? What are we talking about?
Talking about how, like, Cindy or whatever has a change of heart about, like, how they can bury her brother.
Okay. Ismene decides that she wants to help Antigone bury her brother. She has a change of heart. Ideas? Well, we could drop the poetry, right? We could drop the metaphor. And if we drop the metaphor and the poetry, what do we have? She changes her opinion, or just she changes her mind. So, there's one option, Morgan. Later, however, she changes her mind. Let's say we want to keep the change of heart. Let's say we want to replace. Give me options for replacement. I'll start you off. Experiences a change of heart. Other ideas? I'm sorry? Undergoes, I was thinking of that. Anything else? I think either of those works. So, Morgan, if you want to keep the poetry of change of heart, then you must go with one of these verbs. If you want to keep it simple, straight, just say she changes her mind. We had one more? Chris? Sure.
Like, I had a use of helping verbs.
Oh, yeah.
So if I had was going to confront,
I
is it still an error if I change it to would confront?
would confront is fine, however, it might not carry the same meaning. Usually have helping verbs that'll work, but not in every single circumstance. I was going to confront, I intended to confront, or I meant to confront. That solution works in certain circumstances. I would confront, or, yeah.
Lily had to decide whether or not she was going to confront Augustine about.
Oh yeah, in that context, that's fine. She would have to decide whether or not she would confront Augustine. Yeah, that works. That works. Okay, we're just about out of time. You have one more, Sydney, you have a quick question?
Just a pro reference.
Yeah.
I said when Can shows the sign of C1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes the reader feel uncomfortable because the reader sees how it stretches your mind.
She makes the reader feel uncomfortable, not it.
Okay.
Right. Okay, that's about all we have time for. Remember, one more day of OGTs, one more day of Mugs Review. So if you have questions about these, bring them tomorrow. At the end of the class period tomorrow, this is due in one way or another. You also receive your modern tragedy assignment tomorrow. So, yay, rah.